How you doing, guys? Joe here from Florida Angler. Today we're going to show you how to trick shop your 13 fishing reel. Today we have a 13 fishing Concept C and a Concept A. Now the Concept A already has the trick shop on it, the Sublime kit. See if we can get close to you so you can see what the difference is. So basically it replaced the spool tensioner, the spool, the handle, the drag, and then the nut, and then also your worm gear cap. So that one's already done. Today we're gonna do the Patriot Kit, which is this little red, white, and blue on the 13 Fishing Concept C. So the first thing you wanna do is go ahead and take your spool out. There's a button on the bottom. You got that beetle wing system. Pull your spool out. You put that off to the side. Next thing you want to do is you want to take the set screw for the cap, for the nut on the handle. Take that off. And then you put that off to the side. Make sure you remember where all your parts are. And then you got your little retainer clip. Sometimes it comes off and sometimes it doesn't. There you go. Put that off to the side, keep them all in the same area. Then you're gonna take a 10mm nut and then take it off. Make sure you be very careful with these because they do scratch very easily. Get it off and just hand. All right, now very important on these reels, the star drag is spring loaded. So you want to make sure that you hold down the star drag when you're pulling off your handle. Set that off to the side, and underneath this black washer is your clicker, which is very small, and it's super important to make sure you do not lose that piece. If you can see that piece right there, this little piece right here, if you lose that, you have no click when you use your star drag. So you just kind of want to keep it intact, set it off to the side, and then take your spring and set it over here. So the first thing we're going to do is we'll open this up, which is the Patriot Kit. Pull that out. And the first easy thing we can do is the spool tension knob. Basically all you do is loosen it up. Pull that off, put it off with the rest of your parts, and then you put that one on. So that's the easiest part. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take there's some screws. You're gonna have to take the actual gear cover off. Make sure you put everything off to the side so you don't lose it. And the reason why we have to do that is to get to your worm gear cap, you have to take off this front plate. So unfortunately, you have to take everything off to do it. Also, make sure you're using the right size screwdriver for these so you don't strip any heads. And now this should just come right off. Oh, well, I forgot one part already. So there's a nut here that holds this together. You just kind of you can get it with your hand, pull that off. You will need this again, so keep it with everything else. And then these washers here, if you look, there's a gap in between them. You have to keep that gap when you put it back together, because if you don't, it doesn't compress properly. Now, there's one more screw that's inside here. If you can see, right in there, there's a screw right there. You have to get that one off, and then you're ready to take the cap off. And make sure when you're doing this, you're putting the right screws back where they belong, because they will not fit properly. So then you gently pull this off, because you do have springs underneath here. There it is. So you pull that off and just put that to the side. And then you got two screws right here, 1 and 2. Go ahead and take this stuff out so you don't lose it. Two more screws on this side. Now the face of this will come right off, like that. All right, so next, we're gonna get the cap screw right here. So that's the cap screw. And you're gonna take this off. It's better to use a bigger screwdriver for this, just because you don't want to do any damage to it. All you gotta do is touch it one time, and you can usually get it off by hand. If not, gently guide it off. Like that. And then just put the new one on. You want to make sure that that goes right back where it was, so it spins nice like that. And we're going to take this back, put that back on, put all your screws back in it. Actually, still got that one on there. We'll just put that right back in there. We'll take that one. Grab another one. It's also better if you have some magnetic screwdrivers. Some of these spots are very small to get into. If you have fat fingers like me. All right, so now you got your cap on, your cap on there. Now we got to put everything else back together. So you take that exactly how you took it off, set it right back down on there. You want to make sure that the placement is correct. It spins freely. What I like to do is take the springs out so that you don't have to worry about losing them. So take that, put that back up on there. It's a little greasy. Sometimes you may have to lift the gear, but on this, we didn't have to. Okay. All right, so then you want to make sure you put your spacer back on there before you close the reel up. And go ahead and put your cap back on. Make sure everything lines up. It'll kind of snap back into place. You take your screws. Like I said, make sure you put the right screws back where they belong. So keep your 3 main screws off to the side, depending on which reel you're doing, but most of them are set up the same way. And then the longer screw goes on the inside where the spool is. And we're back together as far as that goes. So now what we need to do is remember those 2 little clips that have a little gap in them. You want to make sure that they go back on the same exact way. So that goes on like that. Take your nut. You got to make sure you don't cross thread it, because if you do, you have to just replace it all. It doesn't have to be super tight, just hand tight. Okay, so now you can essentially take the spool, which is this is the regular spool. Obviously I have line on this one, but it was silver. Take the spool. Comes with bearings already. You don't have to change any of the bearings. Put that in there. You can close that up. So now you got your red spool, your red cap. All right, so the next thing we want to do is we're going to put the star drag back together. So we're going to take the new star drag off, and then the new handle, and we're going to put this onto here, and you'll see it pop down all the way. See how there's minimal gap on the bottom? That's what you want. All right, so you remember that little tiny piece that I was telling you about? There's a little tiny spring and that little tiny piece right there. So if you can see those, I don't know if you can, you need that piece right there, and you need that tiny little spring, or you'll have 0 drag sound. So somehow, usually using tweezers, you take this, put these back in. You want to make sure that lines up perfect. Take care. Totally threw me off there. Take your black washer. It's got little edges on it. Make that clicker noise. Put that right on top of that. And you want that to push down. So then you hold that down like that. That is very, very important. You lose that, you lose it all. And then you end up having to order it, and it takes forever to get, and then you can't use your reel. So now we're putting on the new reel. All right, that's on there. Now we got a little drag noise, which is good. We'll take the new nut. Make sure you don't cross thread. Make sure you minimize scratches and anything like that. See, we might have an issue with that particular drag nut. There we go. And just pop itself back into place. Now we need to tighten that nut down a little bit so you can see your drag works. All right, so we're gonna tighten this down a little bit more. Then we'll take our new they package these things great, by the way. Take our new clip or retainer clip, make sure it matches up, and it does. Take your old screw, go ahead and put that in there. You know, get that locked down. It doesn't have to be crazy tight. All right, so pretty much we got it all done. The last thing we got to do is they also provide two little end handles, caps, which is cool. You can just hand spin those in. Sometimes it's better to use a little wider screwdriver so you don't do any scratching, because this stuff is anodized. All right, there we go. So that's the 13 Fishing Concept C with the Patriot Edition trick shot. Hope you enjoyed the video. Have a good day.